The first thing you should do is to spam your first skill until you reach the bush. By using your first skill to dash again, you might position yourself first before your enemy does. It depends on your enemy if they have a greater mobility. You don't have to worry about your mana because first skill consumes only small amount of mana. I am going to explain what I do in the early game, then I will talk about my builds before my emblem. If I successfully positioned myself in the bush before the enemy does, then I will wait them to get closer before I use my first skill on them, then run. The reason why I wait them to get closer first is because Ruby's first skill will deal double damage when Ruby's scythe reach them. Then I will use my first skill to deal damage to enemy hero and to last hit enemy minions at the same time. If I cleared the minions faster, then I will become more aggressive towards my enemy. I will spam my first skill to dash closer to them, then use my second skill to dash backward. By doing this, you can deal damage to your enemy without taking damage. If I successfully manage to fend them off, then I will try to take the crab depending on the situation. I will use my first and second skill to lower its HP faster, then I will use my basic attack to further lower its HP. I will save my skills after that so I can use it to last hit the crab. I will use both my second and first skill to last hit it. Remember that I do not always use this kind of pattern to play Ruby, I use her depending on the situation. By using her again and again, you will have experience to handle different situations and different enemy. There are heroes who's better at clearing the wave faster, and there are heroes who can harass you more than you do. Because of my arrogance. I died. If you believe in karma, then this is the perfect example. Remember that Mobile Legends must be played with a good strategy, tactics, knowledge, and experience. And by having experience, you can achieve those knowledge and tactics. Strategy is not something I can teach since I play solo most of the time. You should have a good decision making when playing this game. Example, when you successfully killed your enemy, would you rather push the turret, take the crab, or roam in the mid lane? Those three options are valid. I usually push rather than to take the crab since the turret will give me more gold than the crab. And I can't be so sure that I can take the crab. Why? You know the rules. When you killed your enemy, then other enemy might come and defend the turret. I would go and roam in the mid lane if there are a clash going on there. I will leave the decision making to you. Let's go back in Ruby. When you cleared the minions, do not just wait for another wave to come. Go and farm in the jungle or roam in the mid lane. Don't just idle for a few seconds. When I reach level 4, I would become more aggressive and try to kill the enemy. After all, I can only push when the enemy is dead. If I can't force my pushing technique, then I would roam in the mid lane. And now let's talk about items. Just like that, I always say, I build the boots depending on my enemies and situation, so I will leave the choice of boots to you. I build tough boots when there are a lot of mages on enemies or stunners. I build warrior boots when there are a lot of physical assassins and marksmen. Then I would go for Haas claws. I do not see any reason why would I pick Bloodlust instead of Haas claws except for its cooldown. But I prefer to use Haas claws since it always save me when I am about to die. This item will strengthen my life steal by 15% when my HP is lower than 50%. My third item would be War Axe. I know that War Axe sucks right now, but still, it will give me more HP when fully stack rather than endless battle. And just like what I said, casting skills and doing basic attack is not just my style. But you can use endless battle instead of Blood Axe if you want. I am just a humble content creator sharing my opinion to you. I hope it helps. My fourth item would be Queen's Wings. I won't be able to ask for more since this is the perfect defensive item for Ruby. The only defensive item that gives additional 25 physical attack. This item will also reduces damage taken of Ruby by 20% when health is below than 40%, and increases Ruby's life steal by 25%. Not to mention that this is the perfect match for Haas Claws. It means that when your HP is lower than 40%, you will have an additional 15% physical life steal and spell vamp by 25%. There are different life steal computation in this too, so don't try to see them as one. I will explain more detail about this in my next video. This is already cracking my head, so I will do the math in my next video. My fifth item would be Oracle. I know that I talk about Dominance Ice in my recent videos, but everything changed now since update. This is the reason why I always make tutorials from time to time since Ruby changes from time to time. You should always use Ruby in a way that Montage made her strong. War Axe was the strong point of Ruby before the update since its overrated physical penetration. Because of it, I have a space for Dominance Ice, but now that Ruby's life steal is weaker, I have to put back Oracle in my build. This build allows Ruby to do a higher life steal. And because it has a shield absorption, then I can still beat Esmeralda and other heroes which has a good amount of shield. My last item is Blade of Despair. Just like what I said in my previous tutorials, it's pointless to strengthen my lifesteal without strong damage, so it's better to strengthen your damage. Higher damage means higher lifesteal. Its unique passive will make Ruby's physical attack stronger by 25%. And higher physical attack means higher lifesteal. Now let's talk about the order of build. I build the boots first so I can roam faster in the mid lane even in the early game. Haas Claws as my second item for sustain and damage. Having this item means I no longer have to go home. If you are not using Avarice, then I highly suggest that you build Queen's Wings as your third item for early defensive item, or else you might get cooked in the clash. But I use War Axe as my third item to strengthen my damage and lifesteal. This allows me to dominate even in the mid game. Queen's Wings as my fourth and Oracle as my fifth. I build Oracle first before Queen's Wings when the enemy have more mages than physical enemies. And Blade of Despair as my last item. Our core is doing so bad. Dying so many times and failed to Retribution the Lord. I was so frustrated in this game, but I want to be positive since I will surely lose when I started to lose my cool. Now let's talk about Emblem. The reason why I use Avarice is so that I can farm faster even I am being aggressive. By using this, you can get gold without noticing. By having an advantage against your enemy, you can kill them faster and push faster. If you do not know Avarice, it is a talent of support emblem where you can get additional gold every time you deal damage to enemies. This is the reason why I build defensive item as my 4th and 5th item, because I am confident that I can build faster than the enemy. And the reason why I use support emblem is because of its movement speed and hybrid penetration. Assassin emblem also have those perks, but it is not as good as support emblem, since assassin emblem is for damage dealer while support emblem is for supporting. The main reason I would choose support emblem compared to assassin emblem is because support emblem have a higher movement speed by 2%. Assassin emblem will give you additional critical chance, which is something I consider as wasted stats. While support emblem have hybrid regen and HP, which is something I can use in a game. As a Ruby user, if you consider critical chance as something useful, then I respect your perspective and opinion. In support emblem, I highly suggest that you do not use focusing mark, as it is something that a support should use, not a fighter. You can use pull yourself together or avarice as your talent. This is the moment that my smartphone is heating so much. My smartphone is always heating up when I am recording while playing. This is also the reason why I can't play with my 100% power while recording. This applies to all of my videos, including my 1 versus 1 video. If you do not know what is pull yourself together, it is the talent of support emblem which decrease your respawn time and battle spell cooldown by 15%. This talent is more effective in the late game, while avarice is more useful in the early game while being totally useless in the late game. So always remember that, pick your emblem depending on your gameplay. Last but not the least, I use vengeance as my battle spell to increase my chance of survival in the early game. This also helped me to survive in a clash. Battle spell is something you should choose, depends on how you play Ruby. I usually use execute and vengeance more rather than flicker. And yep, we lose. There are reason why out of all matches, this is the game that I decided to post. The reason is that I want you guys to learn from my mistakes. My mistakes is that I was too arrogant in the early game. And in the mid-game, I am losing my temper since our core and Chang'e is doing so bad. My third mistake is that I am blaming my team in the late game, which is bad for our team. I was so overly confident in myself, which I forgot that this is a team fight, not a solo fight. The reason why I post a lose game is that because this is a tutorial, not a gameplay that I want to show you. I would like you guys to learn both from my experience, knowledge and my mistakes. I would make a more quality content in my next video as a thank you for the 2000 subscribers. This is my recent matches and I am going to prove to you that I was able to make a 6-win streak in rank match with the same emblem, build, and battle spell. This is the battle that I decided to show you. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 6. So what do you guys think about this build, emblem and battle spell? Let me know in the comment section if it works for you. Thank you for watching and stay safe. "君の虜になる